Hi, let's talk about signs from our loved ones. Oh, if you are feeling that you want to feel connected with your loved ones, do not hesitate to ask them specifically for a sign. They are amazing with what they come through with. I want to share today a specific story about my connection with my dad and a request that I made like this. And this is just one instance, or maybe a couple, if I can remember the sequence to share, in a whole series of Pennies from Heaven events I had with him back in 2022. So the way this all unfolded is that I was just doing a deep dive on the podcast Jim Harold's Campfire. I had a membership with access to the backlog catalog, and I was loving it. My favorite stories are the Pennies from Heaven stories, and I was just reveling in how many there are, in the great lengths that our loved ones on the other side will go to let us know we're with them, to give us signs, so that we feel their presence and know their presence. So the way this happened was that I was listening to all these stories. I was really loving it, just soaking it all up. And I asked my dad, I said, it would be really nice if you started using coins as signs for me, because my dad had a coin collection that he used to love to show me when I was a child. And so this felt like a natural thing for us to connect on. A few days later, I was out on a walk and I found a penny and a dime together, and I had a little laugh because the number 11 has been important to me ever since the number 1111 started following me around about in 2006 or so. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. It's a phenomena. So I had a little giggle over the 1111, the 11 cents, and I took them home and I put them in a place of honor and thanked my dad. Then a few days later, I was out on another walk and I found a penny, and this one was dated 1978. 1978 was the year that was really the last year of my childhood, because that fall my father was diagnosed to be terminally ill and he passed away in the spring of 1979. So 1978 felt like, prior to that news, a very happy time. None of us knew what was coming. So I took that and added it with the 11 cents already in a place of honor at home. And then a few days later, I found another penny, and it was also 1978. So I was loving this connection with my dad. I was still really diving into that podcast and loving all those stories, which are a wide variety. But in the back catalog, I was running into quite a few Pennies from Heaven stories. So then I noticed that a lot of them were about wheat pennies. And my dad had wheat pennies in his collection, and I just kind of laughed and said, "Hey Dad, it'd be really cool if you would send me a wheat penny." And what I felt like he was saying to me was, "Hey, wasn't it enough that time I sent you that necklace with the penny in it of the year of your birth and your monogram engraved on the front?" Which is another story for another time. But I said yes, of course it was. And I felt a little badly that maybe I was asking for too much. And mostly, though, our exchange really felt light and silly and fun. So skip forward a few more days, and I'm getting ready to go out on this walk that I like to do, and the long one takes nearly an hour and a half, and it was supposed to rain, but it wasn't supposed to rain until maybe 5 o'clock, I think. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna have enough time to get this big hill walk in, and I need this, and this will be great. So I started out and I got this nudge that I needed to do something different than my usual route, and I needed to go down a street where my grandmother, my dad's mom, had lived. And I was like, okay, but I resisted it because I really wanted to get this hill walk in, and I didn't feel like diverting from my path. So I started out And I got the nudge again. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I go down and I walk down the street expecting there to be something, right? You don't get nudges like that and then there's nothing, but there was nothing. So I continued on to walk past the house where I grew up. And then from there, I would make it to the Big Hill portion. So I'm making my way up there, and all of a sudden it starts to rain. And I look at my phone, and the forecast has changed, and now it's 80% chance of rain at 4 o'clock, and it's a few minutes before 4. And I don't want to get soaking wet, so I decide I'm just going to change my route, skip the Big Hill, and weave my way back. So as I'm doing this, those of you who are familiar with Bellevue, which is the town I grew up in, I was walking by the iconic Sacred Heart Church, and I was listening to Jim Harold's Campfire, and I looked down at my feet and there was a penny, and I stooped to pick it up, and right when I was doing that, the person on the podcast telling the story said, "This is from your dad," or "It was from your dad," something like that. "This was from your dad." And I was just mind blown. I pick it up, and you guessed, it was a wheat penny. Unbelievable. Just amazing. And needless to say, that went home in a place of honor with the others. So the coins continue, this whole dad leaving me coins. There was a 1900 wheat penny at one point, which if you Google, there's supposed to be none of those in circulation. So that showing up in front of me on my path was pretty amazing. So those stories are all going to be in the book that I'm working on, and maybe they'll pop up here another time. But I just really wanted to share that this is also along the lines of ask and you shall receive, which has been a theme for me since mid last year. So I think that pertains to asking our guides, our higher self, God, whoever your higher power is, asking when we need assistance, but also when we are feeling that we want to feel a heightened connection with our loved ones who have passed before us, that all we need to do is ask for a specific sign and then remain open to receiving it. So for this, I want to thank my dad because he was really delivering on his end of the deal. I also feel like it's important to share that this whole saga of these coins that he was leaving for me, this was mere weeks before I started to get the intuitive nudge that I should take a mediumship class. And with that, my only intention was to learn more about my connection with my dad. I had never intended on giving readings. So this was all the precursor to that. So I feel like this heightened connection with him was also an added factor in listening to that intuition when it came along. So I hope you're doing well. If you're interested in a remote reading, receiving my newsletter, which is the March edition is gonna come out here in a few days, or if you're local and you're interested in the Saturday sessions, they kick off this Saturday, February 28th, will be the first gallery reading. You can message me or text me for more information about that. And then next Saturday, March 7th, is going to be the Intro to Mediumship class. And then the Saturday after that is going to be a Mediumship Development Circle. So I would love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I hope you're doing well. Peace.